Please like and subscribe if you've already seen our stuff and you like us and you keep coming back. Let us know. UFC Fight Night, Ulberg versus Reyes. That is a very interesting main event. Why don't we see if there's any other fights on this card you want to talk about before we get to that?
Yeah, this is taking place in Perth, Australia. It's a 10 p.m. Eastern card, so it's starting a bit late for us here on the East Coast. But yeah, you're going to see a lot of Australian fighters, New Zealand guys. So Jamie Malarkey versus Rolando Bedoya. That's a fun fight on the prelims. And then on the undercard, Justin Taffa, he's on every Australian card. He's fighting Louis Sutherland. Then you got Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. That's a fun fight. And then Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Erslan. You know, all the major Oceania guys down there. But let's get into this co-main event because I'm looking forward to these couple fights. Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Tavares.
Ramon the Savage Tavares. I like that name. 10-3, 5 KOs, 3 subs, 2 decisions. He's won 2 out of his last 3 fights, 2 1 UFC. 2-time Contender Series guy. He actually lost on Dana White's Contender Series and came back and won. Jack Jenkins, 13-4, 6 KOs, 3 subs, 4 decisions. He's 3-2 in the UFC. So I would say these guys are pretty well evenly matched when you look at it. 5 KOs versus 6. Both have 3 subs. It's just, you know, who's going to execute the game plan? I've seen a little more Jenkins, so I'm kind of going to lean towards him. Again, maybe I need to get more familiar with Ramon Tavares because, you know, like I said, this on paper looks like a pretty even matchup. So I'm going to go Jenkins, but I'm going to go decision.
Yeah, Ramon looks great when he's the one going forward, but I haven't seen what he looks like when he's on his back foot. I actually watched he fought Charles Crazy Horse.
Oh yeah,
Felony Bennett in the regional scene. I watched that fight earlier today. He knocked him out. But yeah, every fight I've seen, he's the one pressing the action, and I assume Jack will be the one pressing forward in this fight. So he's going to be using those leg kicks he's known for. You know, he has a bunch of leg kick stoppages. So this should be a fun striking match. I haven't seen enough of Ramon against good competition yet, so I'm with you. I'm going to pick Jack. I'll go with a TKO in round 3. I think it'll be that accumulation of those leg kicks I was talking about. Main event here. This is a high-level light heavyweight title fight with, you know, the winner probably wins one more and maybe gets a title shot. We'll see. Carlos Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes.
Ulberg is 12-1, 7 KOs, 1 subs, 4 decisions, 8-1 in the UFC, 8-fight win streak. So lost that UFC debut and came right back. Fight of the night 1 time, performance of the night twice, and also just to note, 3rd fastest knockout finish in UFC light heavyweight history over Alonzo Menafield. So
yeah, like 15 seconds or something like that.
He's got hands. Dominic Reyes, 15-4, 10 KOs, 2 subs, 3 decisions, 3-fight win streak, which is important to note was because it was coming off of a 4-fight losing streak. One of those losses was the then champ John Jones, a fight some people thought he won. Hell of a fight. And then he just got caught and just had some vicious knockout losses.
3 straight KO losses.
3 straight KO to Blachowicz. I'm sorry, Blachowicz. Yeah. And, you know, just a lot of guys. And
Yuri hit him with that spinning elbow. That one was really bad.
Yeah, and so he just really fell on hard times, and I think he was even contemplating retirement, and now he's turned it around, and he's got himself potentially in a title eliminator or close to it. So it's a great story. He's looking good here, but this is probably his best test because this is an aggressive young guy. Yeah, God, I want Dominic to do this because I really like this story. But like, I just feel like the smart money would probably be on Carlos, and it's probably going to be another knockout because even though I think Dominic has done, it's just the way they're going to fight each other, and he's got hands. So I'm going to go Carlos 2nd round knockout, but I'm going to hope that Dominic Reyes finds a way to get this a decision, and we're talking about him fighting for a title after this. No offense to Carlos, I love Dominic Reyes' story.
Yeah, I think this is a great fight. Another one I assume will be mostly standing as well. So, Ulberg been on a tear. Only that one loss in his UFC debut to Kennedy Njoku, who is obviously a dangerous striker. And then obviously you mentioned the 4-loss streak, 3 of them being bad KO losses for Dominic Reyes. But he seemed to refine his stellar form because he's now on a 3-fight KO streak wins.
That should be noted too. Yep, they're all KOs. Yep.
He's been looking fantastic in all these fights too. So I'm going to pick with my heart on this one. I think the experience is going to be the deciding factor. I expect Reyes to fight intelligently and a bit safer early on. Maybe some clinching and like trying to hit elbows on the break to catch him. And then you might see him open up later on in the fight if Ulberg slows down. Because I think he knows how dangerous Ulberg is and that he's been clipped and knocked out a few times. So he'll be cautious about that. So I'm going to pick Reyes by decision. But honestly, I could see this one going either way with a finish as well.
Yeah, I would not be shocked to see Reyes get a finish here either. And like you said, I kind of thought that too. With experience, he could drag this out and maybe catch him. And who knows, if these guys start just throwing haymakers, anybody could go early. But yeah, I think Carlos will probably catch him early on. I hope not. Well, I hope you're correct. But it's a dangerous fight for this guy I want to see come back. Only because, like you said, he's had those knockout losses in the past. Yeah. And if you even look at his knockout wins, there were times where he looked almost a little like he was, I don't want to say nervous, especially if you go back to the first fight when he kind of turned this around, like he was getting hit a little bit here and there. But
similar to those stretches where like Overeem, when his like chin started to go and then he started fighting safer. And then the same with like Arlovsky did that same thing. We change your style up. I think you're gonna see that here with Reyes. A little bit safer, but not boring. I mean, he's still dangerous, but just not getting into a lot of exchanges.